Hey everybody, this is Bob Kovacs here at Wirefly with another Wirefly cell phone Schmackdown. On the left we have the Motorola DROID 4, brand new DROID series phone from Motorola and Verizon. And on the right we have the Motorola DROID RAZR. This is the original RAZR that came out about 2 months ago. It is identical to the new RAZR Max, except that the RAZR Max has a larger battery, of course, really big battery. But the battery is the only difference between this Motorola DROID RAZR and the DROID RAZR Max. Both of these are 4G phones on Verizon Wireless. They use Verizon's LTE 4G network for very fast download speeds. I've gotten download speeds on these phones in the 20 plus megabits per second range. Absolutely fantastic. These phones have a lot of other things in common. In fact, I have the feeling that underneath their pretty display screens here, they have a lot of stuff in common. They both have 1.2 gigahertz dual-core processors. They both have 1 gigabyte of processor RAM. They both have 540 by 960 displays. But note that the RAZR Max, the DROID RAZR over here has a 4.3-inch diagonal display, while the DROID 4 has a 4-inch diagonal. Also, this is an LCD display versus a Super AMOLED display over here for the DROID RAZR. So, if you guys know me, you listen to my videos, you know that I think bigger is better when it comes to a display. So I'm going to say that the display round goes to the DROID RAZR because of its beautiful Super AMOLED display that's 4.3 inches. I mean, look at the difference in size. Somehow it looks like this is even bigger than just 0.3 inches different. But they are both very nice screens. They both have identical 540 by 960 resolution. So the clarity is excellent. But the Super AMOLED plus the larger display over here on the DROID RAZR takes that for me. Now, on the other hand, the DROID 4 has something the RAZR doesn't have, and that is a slide-out keyboard. And it's a very good keyboard because it has 5 rows of keys. So it's got a dedicated row of numbers, and all the keys are where you expect them to be for a standard QWERTY keyboard format. So if you need a keyboard, if having a keyboard is a requirement for you, or a really preferred way of using your cell phone, then the DROID 4 is going to meet your needs. So when it comes to the physical keyboard round, it's practically a knockout for the DROID 4 because the DROID RAZR doesn't have a physical keyboard. Well, of course, the DROID over here, the DROID RAZR Max, the DROID RAZR, I've got to keep the Max out of this, does have a very nice, let's get on the browser here, does have a very nice on-screen keyboard. So you go to Google and you do a search on something and it brings up, these are nice big fat spots on the screen there, and of course it's a standard QWERTY layout. But if you need to go to numbers, now you've got to press a key down here, go to numbers, and now you've got to press the key and go back to letters. So if you want a ease of reaching both letters and numbers, then the over here, the DROID 4 is the phone that you're going to prefer. Now, both of these phones have 8 megapixel still image cameras. They both have LED flashes on the back. And on the front, they both have front-facing cameras. I think they're both 1.3 megapixel, although it is possible it could be a 2 over here. In any event, they both have decent quality front-facing cameras. You can do video chat with both of these. You can take still images and videos with both of the front cameras that are on these phones. So in that regard, you'd think that the cameras are roughly about the same. However, I have taken flesh-tone pictures with both the DROID 4 and with the DROID RAZR. So let's go ahead and take a look at those. First, we're going to start with the DROID 4. Now, unfortunately, I couldn't use the same set of models for both of the pictures. Here with the DROID 4, that is Paula on the left and Paula on the left and Nasonda on the right. And I thought it was a good picture. It focused pretty well on their faces. And you can see that the background is somewhat out of focus. That's what you want. You want the camera to recognize that their faces are there and to focus on the faces and to throw anything further into distance out of focus. So I thought it did a pretty good job. However, the overall photo quality, it's kind of noisy, and the contrast ratio is not as good as I would like. I would like a little stronger contrast. Here we go and look at the Droid RAZR's photos. Now the contrast is better with the Droid RAZR. Sorry, we have different models here. That's Luis on the left and Jen on the right. And the contrast is a little better with the Droid RAZR, but you'll notice that it's not at all focused on their faces. In fact, the focus is better on the background. So now I had both these cameras set to their standard settings with one exception. I forced the flash on in both cases, but that's the only thing I did. Otherwise, I left them in their standard settings. So I was a little disappointed that the Droid RAZR couldn't focus better on the faces. I was, however, pleased that the Droid 4 could focus on the faces. So I'm going to have to say, now, by the way, before I get off the topic here, the Droid RAZR took a photo with lower noise, so there's less noise in the Droid RAZR's photo. So if you're taking pictures, I'm going to say that that round, taking pictures of people, I'm going to say that that round goes to the Droid 4. If you're taking pictures of other things, then I'm going to say that that round goes to the Droid RAZR. So it's kind of a toss-up there. They both slugged it away, and you got a couple of good punches in from the Droid 4 and a couple of good punches in from the RAZR. So a little hard to say which is the winner on photos. I've seen video from both, and frankly, I think that the Droid 4 has a little bit better video quality, especially audio associated with the video. The RAZR took pretty good video, not too bad, but maybe not quite as good as the Droid 4. They both have batteries that are roughly about the same size. Over here on the Droid 4, you have a 1785 milliamp hour battery, and the Droid RAZR, you've got a 1780. So it differs only by 5 milliamp hours, a very small amount. So that's pretty much an even in the battery round. One other thing, you have a removable battery over here, removable back, which allows you to remove the battery here on the Droid 4. On the RAZR, you do not have a removable battery. It's a sealed case. So the battery you get in the case is the battery that you're going to have, and that's it. So no removable battery over here on the Droid RAZR. If that is a problem for you, then you're going to want to go to the phone that has the removable battery, which is the Droid 4. A couple other things, you probably saw it when I picked these up, is notice the difference in the thickness between the two. Holy cow, the RAZR is just the thinnest darn phone around. I mean, it is really amazingly thin. So the overall thinness, and by the way, heft round, goes to the Droid RAZR. The Droid RAZR is very thin and lightweight. The Droid 4 weighs 6.5 ounces on our scale here at Wirefly. The Droid RAZR weighs 4.6 ounces. It is nearly 2 ounces lighter, and your pocket will really notice that. I like to carry a phone in my shirt pocket, and the Droid 4 is really too heavy for my shirt pocket, whereas the Droid RAZR fits beautifully. And I like also that it's a little bigger and squarer, because that way it doesn't twist in the pocket and get buried in the bottom. Let's talk about the overall size. Notice that the overall size is pretty close. The RAZR is just a bit wider and just a bit taller. It's kind of sliding here, but that's where it needs to be. Just a smidgen taller and a smidgen wider, which you wouldn't think with it having so much more display area. I mean, look at how much more bigger the display. More bigger, yeah, I just learned to speak English yesterday. Look at how much bigger the display is over here on the RAZR. I really like it. Okay, let's wrap up this Wirefly cell phone Schmackdown. I like both phones, but I like the Super AMOLED display over here on the Droid RAZR. I like the larger display. The size works for me. The resolution is great on both phones, but I just like the overall punch you get with the Super AMOLED display. Overall, the performance is very similar. I think maybe the camera is a little bit better for taking people on this one, but a little bit better with taking non-people shots over here on the Droid RAZR, or maybe taking shots at more of a distance in this case. So I think I'm going to go with the overall Wirefly cell phone Schmackdown win with the Droid RAZR. So the RAZR takes this Wirefly cell phone Schmackdown, but both of these are very similar performing phones, and you can't really go wrong. I've done some benchmark tests with both of them. Very similar scores overall on the benchmark tests. They're so similar, so it's not worth showing you what the differences are. It's a difference of 1 or 2%. Doesn't really make a difference. So I'm going to go in this case with the bigger, prettier display over here on the Droid RAZR. But that's not to say that the Droid 4 is a loser in this case, because if you need a keyboard, this is the best keyboard phone available out there, the Droid 4. Wonderful keyboard, beautiful display, fantastic 4G LTE performance on Verizon's network. And by the way, if you need either of these phones, check with Wirefly. Wirefly is the internet's largest retailer of cell phones in the U.S., and we got there because we have great value and great service, and you get good information from somebody like me. Hey, what can I say? I'm Bob Kovacs here at Wirefly. Thanks for watching.